What's the worst part of depression? People not understanding you're depressed because it doesn't look like their image of it. The constant exhaustion, anything and everything makes me so tired. Having depression. Depression. Don't know, never had it. That blink and you miss it moment when you wake up and don't remember the problems and then it all hits you again. The dreadful feeling that you will never feel well again. Even if you know at some logical level that you likely will one day, you are still unable to feel it. Like when I'm at the dentist's and I imagine that the ordeal will be over in an hour, it brings me psychological relief. When I was suffering from depression, there was nothing like that. At least for me, the constant looking down on yourself. It affects your daily life, makes you think that you are shit, making you not do as good of a job in whatever you are doing, making you think that you are shit, and the cycle repeats. Once it's started, it's near impossible to stop. I've been depressed often deeply for the last 43 years. For me, the worst parts are 1. How my dark moods affect the people I love. 2. The times when I honestly have wanted to leave the planet. 3. Being dependent on medication to keep the curtains closed. The rare times I've forgotten to take my antidepressant for a day or two, the curtains in my mind have started parting to expose the full situation, which I lived with successfully until the age of 30 before trying an antidepressant for the first time. Keeping the curtains closed allows me to live a relatively normal life. The look in your loved one's eyes when you disappoint them for the 1000th time. I've been severely depressed for 7 years and it stings just as much as the first time. Hopelessness. Just completely 100% believing there's nothing in this world for you, you have no purpose, and you're just wasting resources that could go to someone more deserving. People telling you to stop being depressed or telling you to do yoga. Suicide. Might be more anxiety than depression, but fear of the unknown. The feeling of drowning while everyone around you seems to be able to breathe. Never-ending exhaustion. Constantly fighting your brain that no, you don't want to put that gun in your mouth or swallow that handful of pills. Knowing you have stuff to do. Wanting to do that stuff. And still not being able to get out of bed. Always feeling like your time is running out, yet never ever doing anything with that time. At work, you can't wait to be home. At home you sit, doing nothing, can't wait for something to happen, then you go to bed, but you don't want the next day to arrive because you felt like you haven't done anything today. You can't ever fall asleep, but somehow still wake up in the morning, finally in a state in which you are actually happy to sleep and close your eyes, but you can't, because you have to go to work. Then you go to work and just think of how nice it'd be to not have to work now, but the second you don't have to work anymore, it's all gone and you don't even want to do anything. Well, you do, but you don't know what it is. And even if you don't have to work, then you go back to sleep, and waste the entire morning, not knowing what to wake up for. Once you do, you're still just there. For the friends and family of the depressed person, it's probably the bullet passing through the brain. The way it forces you to hurt everyone around you. If I try to maintain relationships, I drag my friends down with my boredom and my anger and my jealousy, and I just end up hurting them. If I cut people out, I hurt them by not being there for them and making them feel abandoned. If I live, I'm a financial and emotional burden on my aging parents for the rest of their lives. If I die, my corpse is a financial and emotional burden on my aging parents for the rest of their lives. I have choices, but I don't have a choice, you know? Every path just ends in pain for myself or others or both. I'm stuck. Feeling time go by, day to night. While you sit idly, thinking about all the things you should have / could have done. Knowing what you have to do to get out of it but not believing it will help. The overall lack of motivation, belief in yourself, or the ability to think rationally creates a feedback loop that can literally kill you. Many people who have never experienced significant depression don't seem to understand this, or at least it feels like they don't when you are depressed. As a result, even their well-intended advice and support come across as condescending, and the feedback loop gets a little stronger. 1. When people don't think it's a big deal / don't try to help you through it. 2. When your depression is caused by something you can't avoid, such as bad parents. 3. When people think you always want to be alone just because you're depressed. Some people are depressed because they have no friends. I'm not clinically depressed, but I am definitely not happy with my life. I hope I can move out soon so at least the second problem will go away. Never give up. Personally, it's the eventual realization that you might be depressed, but not being able or capable of doing anything about it, because you feel or are depressed. Believing I was worthless human garbage, wanting to escape the tyranny of living, but being unable to, knowing I would not be escaping my trauma, but passing it on to my kids. As a result, I felt trapped in my own life. The irony that it was a trap of my own making was not lost on me. My pain and despair were indescribable. Ultimately, this is why I sought therapy again, truly committed to it, and after suffering for almost 50 years, I finally received the healing I so desperately needed. I'm no longer depressed. If you're suffering, please get help. I would have bet everything I have that I would never get rid of that profound self-loathing, despair, lack of hope, and pain. But I did make it go away, with the help of a trauma therapist. The intense pain in my stomach. The thoughts circling in my head and no way to stop them. Even the way people I know view depression. Losing friends because the motivation to do anything slowly goes away. For me, it's the anhedonia, the inability to find pleasure or joy in anything. Not only is nothing fun, my not wanting to partake in the fun thing is insulting to others. The limbo when you have enough energy to move but not enough willing to live. At the beginning of the treatment, it doesn't last very long but is difficult. The part where you begin to feel useless and you begin to lose motivation in day-to-day tasks. You would rather stay in bed all day while account is at -$7 than get up and finish a resume BC. The thought of moving is just too much. Social interactions just feel fake sometimes. You can smell the fraud in people. Having a nice experience and the feeling it goes upwards just for it to plume it down to sometimes near suicidal points where you lay emotionally empty under your desk aimlessly having YouTube run on autoplay while eating ice cream. This may sound cliché but, at least I had it multiple times and it feels like shit afterwards, especially when you look back at the choices you did or almost did make, like sitting there with cut open arms. Being confronted by your down phase in your up phase. I was cleaning my depression hole when I grabbed into a razor blade I lost whilst self-harming and cut open my pointer finger at the tip right under the nail quite deeply. When you're out of it you tend to forget how bad it can get. Waking up when all you want is to sleep and that be the final time. I think for me it was the initial hesitation to take a serious step to improvement. For me, that step was medication, and I cannot stress enough how happy I am I decided to. It has helped every aspect of my life immensely. Well, besides my sex life, but I'm married and the gains from being on medication far weigh out any loss. Knowing something can be done. For me it's the lack of motivation to look after myself and clean and tidy my home. Trying to trick yourself that it's not that bad. But then one thing rocks you and you spiral even deeper. Not having someone to talk to. Not doing stuff. Like not having the energy to get up and do basic things like run an errand or make dinner or shower. And the part that really sucks is that you'll feel better if you just get up and do something, but every tiny thing takes 20 times more effort than it should. You can't control it. There are times where I found myself holding the gun. It's not that I want to die. It just at that moment living wasn't worth it. The fact that nothing's actually causing it and you don't know WTF you're supposed to do. Depression itself. The worst for me is the fantasizing of killing myself. Everyone says this is the most selfish thing, but what people don't know is that it's a fixation that is caused by the pain felt internally. It's almost like an impulse. As a recovering cutter, that is always my lowest point. Not even wanting to fix it. Full on sobbing for hours, then looking at your dead eyes in the mirror, and just laying back down until you fall asleep. Having so little energy that being awake is so painful. Having it happen over and over again and realizing that death would be better than a life like this. That you know what you need to do for yourself to get out of it, but you're too depressed to do it. Not being able to pull yourself out of it even when you can acknowledge you're going through it. I can't just stop it or shift directions, I just fucking feel down. I wanna sleep, I'm not eating good, I know I'm going through it but I can't do anything the fuck about it. Then it affects other areas of my life, like relationships become distant because I don't want to bring anyone down and just make it worse. Not even having the want or motivation to take care of yourself, like not eating, showering, sleeping too much, not hydrating. Then I just feel numb but I'm weak. And in pain. That it prevents you from thinking rationally and critically. Your mind tells you that it will never be better. I see, the Reddit algorithm is catching on. We'll see. May.